about this. Yeah, so for those who have been following us until now, welcome back. And if you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We started this almost 2 years ago to provide opportunities to reflect within 1 hour some of the research issues we face as scientists. The scientific journey is not always a smooth journey. For those who have been in it, it's not always a smooth journey. And so some ingredients are required to make a successful journey. Some ingredients are required. And this year, we want to spend some time to highlight some of these ingredients, which we call virtues, to highlight them and to encourage ourselves. So welcome. My name is Nwaru, and the anchor, the presenter of this workshop. All right, so this is the second edition we will be having this year. And we started in January. This edition would have come last Friday of February, but we were engaged, so we couldn't have it. That is why we have it the first Friday of March. And yeah, of course, the next one that is also coming will come the first February of April. So in January, we started with the question, who is a scientist? And that we had a verdict that we are into this. So to set another foundation, we want to go through today what scientists do need for special virtues. Need for special virtues. And I believe that you would identify with the issues, the nuances, the challenges, the unspoken words, the secrets, the pathways that we really go through. And at the end, I think you will agree with me that there is need for special virtues. All right, so we will be covering these topics through the year from the third edition for this year, which actually it should be end of March, but it will come end of April. We will now begin to get into some of those virtues. I will start with passion, curiosity, and so on and so forth. All right, and then we'll go through. Okay, so as usual, I want to start. I always like you to contribute to the discussion. I always like you to contribute. So I will distribute you into breakout sessions. If you can take a picture of what is on your screen, please do so. I want you to take 15 minutes I will give you now to look at these issues, look at these questions, and come up with, select somebody from your group who can represent your thoughts on these issues. Do you consider yourself a scientist? Then what is your day-to-day work like? How challenging is your work as a scientist? How easy is your work as a scientist? What makes you to continue your work against all odds as a scientist? Do you sometimes want to quit as a scientist? What reasons make you to feel that way? All right. So take a picture, and I will now send you to breakout sessions. Judging by the number we have here, I will put you into 3 groups. So discuss, I'll give you 15 minutes, and then appoint somebody who will present your thoughts, and then we'll continue. All right. The room is open, it's automatic, so it's not pre-selected, it's automatic. And so you join the room you find yourself. And then if eventually you fall out of the network, when you come back, let me know which group you belong to, and I will send you there. All right, see you in 15 minutes. All right, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. I hope you have had, even though short time, but a good interaction. So please, let's see who went to group number 1. Let's see who is present for group number 1. Those who are presenting, please just raise your hand, and then I can call on you. Okay, Ajibole, you're present for group number 1. Group number 2, group number 3, please also raise your hand, whoever is presented for those groups, so that we can have you at once. All right, Ajibole, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. We couldn't go through all the questions on the slide, but the few ones that were answered were just 1 to 3. And it says that, do you consider yourself a scientist? Which most people said yes, they consider themselves as a scientist based on their work schedule. Then the second question says that, what is your day-to-day work like? Most people that gave responses said that they were university lecturers, so at most they teach, they conduct research, mostly in the social sciences, and also they find out why things are like how they are in the society. The number 3 is, how challenging is your work as a scientist? This was where we stopped, so we couldn't go further on other questions. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, group number 1. So you spent lots of time meditating on those few ones. All right, that's good. I have Ibuku Noluwa Odedeji. Are you presenting for group number 2 or 3, please?
I think it's group 8. I saw 8.
Oh, 8. We only have up to group 3, but please go ahead.
Okay, is it 3? Okay. Okay. Before we were able to do just 3. So the first question, which says, do you consider yourself a scientist? Most people said yes. And it's because they conduct research, they use scientific methods to solve societal problems. And we were able to discuss the characteristics of a scientist. We highlighted 3. A scientist is curious, has integrity, and is highly meticulous in the carrying out of his or her research. Then what is your day-to-day work life? Conduct research, work in the laboratory, and gather research for knowledge sharing. Then the challenges of the scientist. One of us in social sciences said there's language barrier, and they have to use a special term for the research, which can be voluminous. And accessibility of the knowledge to a layman is an issue. So, and it's the layman that needs to implement most of this research, the results. So then there's lack of expertise and equipment to carry out research studies for those of us in core sciences. Then reproducibility is also a big challenge, because a lot of scientists manipulate data, and well, that's where we stopped.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I have another hand, Oluwafemi VO. I guess you're presenting for the last group. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I'm presenting for group number 2. Majority of all agree that we are scientists. And after critical discussion, we look at what is the definition of a science. Science is a systematic way of studying structure or behavior for a given location. So, and after examining that definition, we all say that we are all, majority of all agree that we are scientists. And the next question is about that the challenges we face every day. Especially in Nigeria, we have environmental issue. The environment is not so conducive, especially in the area of infrastructure. That, for example, now there is issue with electricity when you want to do something and there's no power, so you won't be able to do. And it was observed that before they supplement it with fueling, but the price of the fueling to power the generator for further study, and it is so tedious. Some people cannot afford it. We still talk about the because of economic issues. There's no lack of focus, giving your work full attention is a challenge because there will be somebody who is psychologically disturbed may not give good attention to what he's doing. So on day to day, we observe that there are a lot of issues coming up on our scientific activities, and about the what makes us to continue is that we concluded that the issue of knowledge, we need to still expand the knowledge, although we still see the issue of funding as a basic as a basic issue, and we still continue as a means of our livelihood because some of us take it as our job, that whether things done or the environment is okay or not okay, we need to do something for our livelihood. These are the little summary from my group, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, all the groups. I think group 3 pointed some important aspect that will be relevant in our discussion this afternoon. So we have half an hour to go, and let me see how much we can actually get through. All right, I think today's topic will set the pace for the other topics we'll be discussing this year. And group 3 mentioned some things, some of the challenges, electricity. I have to do it by every means because that is my job. Sometimes things don't go well the way I plan. I've seen people who have sat and they cried. Some people who have done something and they get party and be happy. So there are different emotions that come into the scientific process. And this is because of the nature of what we do. Nature of what we do. It can be challenging. But eventually, what makes you to continue against all odds? I don't know if anyone here has come to a point where, because nobody discussed up to the last question, where you decided to want to quit. Have you come to a point? Let me see a hand. You decided, not you decided, you were contemplating, you were thinking, I have to quit really this. I want to give up. I want to leave this. Is there anyone who has been to that point before here? You can just show by raising your hand. All right, I see one hand. Okay, it looks like things are working very well for every other person. All right, so Ajibola, you're the odd one. Well, let me give you the mic so that you can tell us, why did you want to quit? Since we don't have many hands, let me just hear why did you want to quit, Ajibola?
Okay, I think it is based on different factors. I didn't really have an idea that entering the research or the academic field would be kind of tedious, especially when you combine other aspects of being a lecturer. There are lot of administrative work that you have to do combined with you doing your research, combined with you lecturing. So sometimes it can be overwhelming. And also when you also think about some other challenges and some other bureaucracy with some parastatals, it can also be challenging. So sometimes I might just feel overwhelmed and I might just say that I think I'm getting tired of all this. So those are just the few little times where I felt like I might just give up. Yeah.
But you continue because you have to eat, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, maybe. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let me. I have another hand, Patricia. Please let me hear your insights. Patricia, you can unmute yourself now.
Oh, sorry, sir. Okay. I feel sometimes like quitting because I'm overwhelmed with work. There's just so much work to do. We are very few, too many teaching hours, and other work that the institution requires one to do. It leaves me with very little time to sit on my own work, to carry out personal research. And it makes me feel like I'm a failure. What's the use of being a lecturer when you cannot publish? Not because you don't want to, but because you get so tired to be able to do anything. There are many papers I've started writing and abandoned because there's no time to carry them to completion. And I get so frustrated.
All right,
I
thank
think I'm
you
a
very
failure.
much.
Yes, sir.
So you have those feelings.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for sharing your thought. Is there anyone here who doesn't have those kind of feelings? Patricia brought forward. I'm a failure. I'm underperforming. I'm not meeting expectations by myself, by those who are around me. Well, it looks like everybody has the same. So Patricia, just to let you know that you're not alone. Okay, you're not alone. It's a journey that we are all in different stages, and we come encounter with some of these experiences as we move forward. We come encounter with them. But you can see that some of the things you have mentioned now are external. The external things that really impact on your thought pattern, your performance, your picture of your work, your picture of your assessment of yourself, external. But this year we will be looking at internal factors. All right, internal factors that become I will use the term vaccination towards the external factor. One thing that you have to know is that the external factors are not factors that you can totally avoid. All right? Our different environments make it that some of these factors can be more common in certain environments than other environments. All right? And so the pressure may be different from place to place. But eventually, the external factors cannot be totally avoided. They are present. All right? You apply for a job, you get rejection, you submit your paper, you get very negative comment from reviewers. Eventually, you are rejected. You apply for funding, you are not getting money, you have tried many years, nothing is working. Those are external factors. But the internal factors become a H you can rely on, you can hold on to deal with the external factors that surround us. All right. So what scientists do? Yeah, I used this last time. Science is the pursuit and application of knowledge and understanding of the natural and social world, following a systematic methodology based on evidence. This is the Science Council. In summary, what scientists do, what you and I do, we observe, we measure, and we communicate. In summary, all right? You can extend it to this figure. I didn't take much more than this, but I can move from three verbs to this figure here. From this figure, I can move to more complex figure, and it becomes more complex and complex and complex and complex. All right? We observe this is a whole web of activities. And these activities here, the activities here, vary from certain context to certain context, from discipline to discipline, from lab to lab. What happens? Measure, it's a web of activities. Communicate, it's a web of activities. I remember group 2 was saying that even challenging to get it to the language the lay people will understand, because in the end, they are the ones who need this most. Communication itself is an activity that can be overwhelming. All right? Now, the point I want to make here is, this is what we do. We make observations, we research, we raise hypotheses, we test the experiment, we analyze, we report. These are activities. These are the things our hands do. These are the things our thoughts do. But they are full of different unwritten encounters. Some of the things you have narrated now. In addition to the environmental or institutional factors that surround you, even if you are given the research to be the only thing you do, these activities, if you are not careful, can knock you down. Because as the cycle has gone, the cycle is not actually that cyclic. It's not actually that cyclic. It can be very zigzag. You know, moving from observation to proposing a research topic can be very zigzag. And another thing is that it can take years. It can take months. It's not something you can do in seconds. And if it takes years, moving from place to place, if it takes months, if it takes time, what happens to you as the scientist in those times? It's not always happy moments. There can be sadness, there can be discouragement, and you see as I go through here. All right? So it says that science is not just facts. It is the way we analyze the facts. You see, this is loaded. It is the way we analyze the facts. And I have my PhD student who is analyzing the data to try to understand how machine learning can be used to phenotype asthma. Because asthma is a disease that we say is heterogeneous, meaning that it has different phases. So for instance, asthma in children is different from asthma in adulthood. And so he's trying to use these machine learning techniques to dig into this rich data, understand it. And I tell you, he has been doing it for just one paper he's trying to work on. He has been doing it for more than, let's say, a year. Why? Because this is loaded. It is the way we analyze the fact. But this here can be a tremendous effort. And so, after he closes work, and you call him aside, and you speak to him, how did it go for you today? Then you can see his inner self, how he feels. You know, I've been doing this. I don't know. I don't know. So science is not just facts. So that the results are produced, they are published in the top journals, and you see that, and everybody's hailing that. You may not understand what has gone in. And what has gone in is not only data, it's a mixture of different emotions, of different failures, of different frustrations, sad moments, happy moments. They form the component of what you produce as fact. He said it is the process. It is how we do it, not the results we get. It is how we ask the questions. It is how we find answers to the questions. It is how we make use of the knowledge we generate. It is how we use the knowledge to solve human problems. The how. Science is about the how. It's about the how. Many of us are very much excited with results. That those results you are excited about, when you are taken into the theater of investigation of where they are cooked and produced, you run away. You tell I can't do this. But you know, the beauty of the result lies in the theater of panabiti, of different emotions, of different activities, internal and external, that come out to produce that result. That is what scientists do. Yes, we define it as a systematic process, but the systematic itself is loaded. All right? Nature of what scientists do. Rocket science is tough. And rockets have a way of failing. So you are mentoring, you are coaching, you are supervising the junior ones. It is very important that you also make them to understand that this is a journey that you need to be prepared to go through, to learn, to fail, to cry, to be happy, to rejoice. So you need to be prepared. So because rockets have a way of failing, that is really an aspect that even if it doesn't fail, there's an effort you put into that makes it tough. But when it fails, it adds another component of emotions. And you can come to the point Patricia was saying, I count myself a failure. But that science fails does not mean that the scientist is a failure. The science fails, what you're doing fails. It's just an evidence that failure is part of that process. And if you don't understand that failure is part of the equation, then you end up saying, failed. The path to consensus via science is rarely straight. It's rarely straight. Mark those words. It can take years to achieve, and the battles can be bloody. But eventually, the accumulation of evidence is hard, even impossible to ignore. You know, it takes a man who has gone through a journey to call somebody who is new onto that journey and says, you know, there are lots of detours on the way. And I want to tell you where you need to avoid. If you have not gone in that journey, you would think it is smooth. But those who have gone through that journey can tell you, even in the midst of tough times, you find smiles on their faces. Why? Because they know they endured and they came out So the path to scientific discovery is really straightforward. It's full of detours. It's full of ups and downs. And that is why you need to appreciate when discoveries are made, when achievements are made, when sources are made. All right? So it requires painstaking effort to success. And if you do it that way, without cutting corners, then you go through journeys that sometimes, if they ask you, do you want to go through it again? You say no. I remember I had a PhD student who defended, about a year and a half ago. One of the projects I gave to him, that project produced just one paper. It took him almost 2 years. And taking almost 2 years, really, he spent time on that project because it requires spending time. And these 2 years, he was working with a host of other researchers. In fact, there were around 7 people who were working with him daily on that project. And so he finished. And I remember I asked him, do you want to do similar one again? He said, no, never, Bright. No. This type I wouldn't do again. Yeah. But what happens is that paper was published just close to 2 years now. And I tell you, his effort is paying out. It's one of the toughest papers published in that area and in that journal. Why? Because there was a painstaking, intentional effort put into that. All right, so you see that paper he has produced, you say, wow, this is very, very wonderful work. But if he tells you the weekends, the nights he has spent, the times that have come, he says, I don't want to continue. You wouldn't know. But eventually, the accumulation of evidence is hard, even impossible to ignore. You can't ignore that work. You can't. But you need to make up your mind that that is what you want to do and to do it. Science never solves a problem without creating 10 more. We have had on this research tips and tricks, we have had sessions on ignorance and sessions on failure. And so there I try to convince you with regards to ignorance that when you set out as a scientist to engage in investigation, one of the things that occupies your mind is that you want to find an answer. But eventually, scientists' investigation leads to ignorance, meaning we started out trying to find answer. We end up raising more questions than answers. Yeah. I had a PhD student who just presented today, and I was listening to him and what he set out for an investigation to find answer. But he ended up raising questions. And I was telling him, this is your research place. If you want to engage in it, you have carved out something for yourself for at least 10 years. You'll be an authority if you want to continue in this area. He didn't plan for that when he started. But that is the beauty of science, that we end up producing ignorance. The more we look, the less we see. All right? And so you ask yourself, why are more problems coming out instead of finding answers? It is because that is the nature of it. You need to appreciate it. You need to welcome it. You need to know that is the way it works. And if you don't have that mindset, you get to an arena of frustration. And if I turn my voice to say that if you are not that type that you can handle your stress, you go home and you put it on your family, you put it on your children, you put it on your husband or your wife. You knock the table. You don't want to eat the dinner. No. Come on. This is the way it is. That is the story. When I was doing my master's thesis, I had my supervisor who supervised me, and I followed her for years until now. She got a point, said she wanted to retire. And I know she called me, she gave her books, she said, Bright, I'm cleaning this office, and after that, I am done. I left the country. I went to other places, hoping that she's done. And then, because I was on the email list of that institution, I got email one day of a PhD defense, and her name was there as opponent. I didn't know what has happened. Within 1 year, she retired. And I asked her, what happened? Your opponent? Are you still being an opponent of a thesis? And then she said, Bright, I couldn't stay aside research. I came back. Wow. All right. So that is the beauty of it. Yeah, about Einstein. Science is a wonderful thing if one does not have to earn one's living at it. I don't know if you understand what this means. You see, some of you say, well, I stayed amidst my frustration because I had to survive. Okay, but here he's saying that if you can find your resources to survive elsewhere, all right, and you have the whole time in your life to do science, then it's a wonderful thing, because you will not be in too much hurry. You will not be in too much stuff. But that is not the way the world works. So it can be wonderful when that happens, but if not, it's not that wonderful. The way we interpret wonderful. But eventually, when our efforts begin to pay off, you begin to see the joy that comes. Okay, so we'll come back here again. What scientists do is full of uncertainties. Formulating the research question is full of uncertainties. If you know everything about it, you wouldn't have wasted the time formulating. And when you're formulating, you may miss certain aspects. You may sometimes not even formulate it very well. It's full of uncertainty. Securing the funding, oh goodness me, this is the hard part that leads to a lot of frustration. All right? Collecting the data can be frustrating in the field. Performing the analysis, communicating the findings, putting it into action, some of the things you have mentioned. That is the process, and they are full of uncertainties. I've mentioned ignorance. Ignorance everywhere here. Ignorance everywhere here. Failure everywhere here. Yes, it's happening, and it happens, but what do we do? That is the way it works. That is what I want you to understand. What we do is important. What we do is essential. What we do can save lives. But there are things that come our way. Things that come our way. Not because they want to come and disturb us and frustrate us, but because that is the way they are. We need to navigate them. We need to appreciate them. We need to know how to deal with them. All right? Just to tell you quickly, a story. The story of the digital camera. Every one of you have it. I don't know if there is anyone who doesn't have a smartphone here. This is what we have today. Even the little kids, they can take the picture, selfie, they take it. But the journey of this we have today, Stephen Sasson, all right? He has small beginnings. You can see what he has in his hand. This was the digital camera when he started to produce it. Today, even some pens he used to write have cameras. But it took him a journey of frustrations, a journey of failures, a journey of all kinds of criticisms, a journey of spending his money. His friends, some abandoned him. This guy is not serious. What he's having here weighs 3.6 kilogram. How long can you carry this? But today, with 2 fingers, we can use our camera. There were technical issues, communication issues, organizational issues. But he didn't give up. He had a small beginning. And his curiosity kept him. So people criticize him, people say all kinds of things. He might have failed 1,000 times. But in each, if you have the right mindset, in each of those 1,000 times, you have learned 1,000 times of how to do it differently. All right? In the end, it ended well. Everybody has a digital camera in their hand because some persons persisted. Some persons did not capitalize on their failures to say, well, I give up. They moved on. What are the fruits? Look at the awards that have come his way. And they will keep coming because this is a story that needs to be written. It's a story that needs to be told, not just to this generation, but to generations. This is what we do. This is what we do. And that is why this year we have set out to encourage ourselves. There are things you need internal to vaccinate yourself against the external. And these are the things we'll be going through to this year. Passion. The Success Foundation Favor. That is coming in April. Curiosity. The virtue for exploration. Ignorance, the outcome that beautifies research. Failure, the never-ending learning curve. Persistence, the fuel that propels success. Patience, the lubricator of the research storms. Creativity, the ingredient for re-innovation. Networking, you must be collegiate. Flexibility, resilience makes you strong. And finally, we'll be looking at communicative, telling your story right. And this ingredient, if I go back to this digital camera story, they manifested. And in their absence, they would have failed. All right, that is all I have for you today. And I hope you got the point. We will start with passion, getting into the real ingredients. And I tell you, passion will motivate you if you really know what passion is. Some of us don't know what passion is. But I tell you, on the 5th of April, we'll download that. You will not forget that. All right, so please join us that. And on 31st of March, we'll be having the 3rd edition for this year of the Science Seminar Series, the Innovation Research Pathways at the Work. We'll have a panel discussion, so please join us. The Systematic Reviews and Meta-Analysis course application is still open. Do well to register. We have just 1 week to go. 1 week to go. So register and join us. That is also for the Research Quality, Productivity, and Impact one. Join us. If you have not joined as SFI member, please do well to do that because it gives you lots of benefit in taking part in these programs. All right. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, colleagues, for coming. And yeah, you can now, if you want to say something, unmute yourself and speak. But I wish you a very lovely weekend. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Prof. And we wish you a very blessed part of the month. And thank you for all the efforts you are inviting into us to pray that one day will arrive.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Bye, everyone.